Okay, first off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitters, everyone here for to talk about, again, continuing the sayings of the Holy Teacher. I think this is chapter 4. It's on Ren, which is life, human existence. The question is, what is it? What's the purpose of it? What's it for? Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess there was this poem at the beginning of that. It says, when we cultivate our heart and mind. When we perform Tao matters, we do our utmost. Okay, we do not compare and gossip about people's good points and shortcomings. Actually, cultivation is actually, it's cultivating, what are we cultivating, right? So it's our heart and mind. It's not, well, we're not cultivating external things, we're cultivating internally. Changing our heart and mind, getting rid of our habits. What we think is normal is not really correct or right, proper. Okay, so we have to understand the right principles, what should be, how we should conduct ourselves, how we should be, and follow and practice towards and work towards that. Because actually, because over, 60,000 years of reincarnation, we've, our character or our habits, our temperament is kind of accumulated through various whatever, and so all those lifetimes. And so that's what we're used to. We think that's the way we should be, but that's the way of continuing samsara, continuing the reincarnation. So we have to learn to change these bad, quote unquote, bad old habits, and so that we can, transcend. We have the opportunity to transcend samsara in this life. So we should do our best to do that. Comparing gossip, that's something that we tend to do as humans. We like to compare, and then we like to talk about people behind their backs. It doesn't really, that we should not get into that. That is, again, falling into this duality. We create karma as a result. Creating karma, of course, that's the seed to reincarnation. So we don't want to reincarnate, and we shouldn't plant the seeds of karma. People, no one's perfect, so there are good points, there are shortcomings. We just need to, ideally, we reflect on ourselves, of course. Whenever we see other people's shortcomings, we reflect on ourselves, see if there's anything that we need to improve. When we see other people's good points or, things that they're good at, then, we should also learn from those. So everything is, we take the outside, reflect it inward, and apply it to ourselves. So we shouldn't really talk about other people's. Yeah, sometimes we do. We can help other people to point out maybe that some areas that they need to improve, that we could do and should do. But of course, we don't want to do it in a way that's, we have to do it in a good way, encouraging way, to let them improve it, rather than they get defensive and then they back off. So again, this all takes you have to have wisdom in how we deal. You have to be able to deal with situations in a proper way, appropriately. We are the bridge between the bitter sea and the Western paradise. Yeah. So as cultivators, we are the link between this world that we live in, this bitter sea, and Western paradise is the heaven. So, being that we are on this path, we receive the Tao, we are on this path, we learn the principles, we understand it, and we can help other sentient beings, other people, to also return to that Western paradise. Okay, we lower our head, are just, fair, and harmonious, right? We should always be humble. Always be fair, just, and be in harmony with everyone. So that's really more important than being right, or I'm right. Standing on the right and wrong. this is how we should approach any situation, even though there could be a right and wrong. Those are all relative, anyways, the right and wrong. But to be quote unquote perfect is to be this, to just, fair, and harmonious. Okay, that's really what it means to be perfect. Okay, it's not. There's no such thing as absolute perfect. So it depends on the situation, right? Okay, we are free and composed, coming and going. We strengthen our notion of the Tao. So basically, okay. So basically, as a Buddha is free of all attachments, right? so we should try to, if we let go of our attachments, then the freer we can be. And so, stubbornness, things like that, even habits, those are attachments, emotional attachments, all sorts of attachments. We need to be free of those, and because those attachments give us bias as well, cause us to be biased. And so if we can let go of all that, then we can be perfect in any situation. I mean, because we can deal with the situation appropriately, as opposed to always with a certain bias that I have, right? So that's very important. Then coming and going, so we can be anywhere without any problem. We can deal with any situation in a quote unquote perfect way. We do not sacrifice in vain. We do not come to this world in vain, and we do not pass the time in vain. So hopefully most people, they think they're living a good life. They're living, they have a successful career. They have a successful whatever. But, from a Buddhist point of view, from the point of view of the eternal life, that's living in vain for the most part. Unless we do some things that are good for humanity, good for the world, we do a lot for the world to help others, then you can say it's not in vain, that the life is more valuable, has more value. And so for us, we realize that the world, everything is temporary. There's nothing eternal here. There's nothing true, real, so we can kind of let go of those things and then focus more on what's more important in terms of our own life, achieving, transcending the samsara, and also helping others to do the same. And so that is really the, so we can make sacrifices, but, if we're sacrificing for the good of others, to benefit others, then it is not in vain. Okay, so we should also, not waste our time. We have no idea how long we have to live. Anything can happen the next day. So we should make the most use of our time every moment, really. No need to waver or hesitate. No need to put up obstacles for oneself. We tend to our greatest enemy is ourselves, and there may be external factors, but for the most part, the biggest factor is ourself. Our mental attitude. If we say, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm uncomfortable," whatever. All these things, these are excuses. They're coming from the inside. Has really nothing to do with the outside, and so. Those are the obstacles that we put up for ourselves, and already we've defeated ourselves. I mean, we cannot succeed without even encountering the outside obstacles. So it's really, we have to push ourselves. This is kind of a attitude thing, so that we have to say, I can do anything. I can do anything, and then you do it. Whether you succeed or not. Yeah, that's okay. You can keep trying, but the most important thing is we don't create these artificial obstacles for ourselves or limitations for ourselves inside, because then that's already becomes self-defeating, right? Yeah.
Actually, a lot of time, obstacles are not there.
Yeah, I mean, we create it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we create it ourselves, and that's why I said it's all internal. There's no real obstacle. I mean, these obstacles again has to do with because we're what we're used to, what our all sorts of things, our attachments, biases. These all create obstacles inside. I mean, they don't exist outside. It's just that maybe we see something, hear some situation, and because it's the way that we are, our biases, all that stuff, that causes us to think there's an obstacle, but it's not there. So that's why we have to, as part of the process, we have to get rid of all those things. When we can get rid of all those things, then there will be fewer obstacles within us. So all those biases, attachments, all those, right? Establish a proper goal. Yeah, we need to have, it's not to become, super rich or famous or powerful. Our real goal is to, how do we, how do we transcend this samsara, okay? And how do we help others to do so, or help enlighten other people as well, awaken other people? Let myriad people smoothly and steadily progress upward. Yeah. Let the myriad people benefit from the kindness. Let myriad people be immersed in the vast heavenly grace. Let myriad people escape from the vast mirror sea. Let myriad people's ancestors and descendants benefit. Yeah. So. Because we live in this, we are in this white period right now that we have this chance. I mean, it's in the past, they didn't even have this, thing where ancestors and descendants can benefit. Okay, it's just they cultivate it for themselves only. But today, in the white period, there's because of God's mercy that we have that. So it's, it's like, I don't know. Usually we say like a 2-for-1 deal. There's like thousands for one deal. Okay, so it's really worth. We're really getting a good deal. Okay, so we should take advantage. Make use of that. All right, so we can help a lot of people, a lot of sentient beings and people, the ancestors, etc., to return to heaven. All right. Okay, so life, right? Life is like a play. Yep, how greedy we are for the short-lived delight of the siesta. Before long, all our glorious and flaming deeds shall vanish. Before long, we shall hastily live and die. Life is like a play, and yet what that means is there's already a script that's written, all right? So we follow the script, which is basically based on our karma. That's the karma that we had. That kind of determines what this life is going to be like. What kind of fortune we're going to get in this life. What kind of misery. All these things are quote unquote predestined to a certain extent. Okay. We just follow this without doing anything special. Then it is going to be predetermined, and it just follows that script. And so there's nothing, we can try as hard as we want to change things, like, our fortune. A lot of people, they want to, they want to make so much money. But if their karmic fortune is limited, then they can never achieve that. They can never get what they want. Okay, so that's something that we have to realize, that we have to be content. We should not be greedy, but also we may get things that we want, but it's still short-lived. From the point of view of like the Buddhas, the eternal life, it's very very brief, right? There's a brief moment in time that this human life span, and so it'll all come to an end when we leave this world. So all the things that we have in this world are only for this world, of this world, and for this, that stays in this world. So, when we die, then it's all gone, and we start over in the next life. So hopefully, we are a little bit more smarter, a little bit more wiser, we're really awakened, that we can look beyond to see that, wow, this, how do we get out of this? Let's get out of this race, okay? And just, put this all behind. So you can say there's also a sacrifice to say, okay, so I don't need to pursue all this comfort, all this enjoyment, whatever in life. If I can do that for this one lifetime, then I can transcend and live, eternally. Yeah.
In the earlier part, you had the like relationship between the heart and the mind. Do you consider them one and the same, or are they separate, or what is the clarification as far as why they're even dealing with the question of wisdom and compassion. They said that you can't have wisdom without compassion. So how is the heart and the mind intertwined or closely related?
Well, in Chinese, the word "xing," you can say it's both heart and mind. I mean, because I don't know, in English we kind of separate the two. Maybe the heart is more the emotions, things like that, whereas the mind is more the rational side. But in the Chinese, when it says, because as far as there's a translation from the Chinese, so the "xing" means really it encompasses all of that. I mean, it's there's actually no distinction. There's no separation between heart and mind. Actually, it's all one. I mean, it's all. I mean, in our culture, the Western culture, they separate it, but it's not separated. I mean, is
the heart a part of the mind, or is the mind a part of the heart?
It doesn't matter. It's just one. Okay, it's just they go together. I mean.
First name and your last name, so they say heart and mind.
But you can say maybe the heart is perhaps part of the mind. Okay, the mind is the whole. The
mind is the whole. So
I would say, yeah. I mean, because so within the mind you can also deal with have emotions, things like that. Okay, but yeah, I mean that's just getting semantics, I guess. But.
No, it deals with the issue of redundancy, and are we being, redundant if you use, the mind concept and then the heart concept?
Yeah, I mean, we can just say mind without saying heart. I mean, that would still cover everything. Okay. But yeah, I guess, whatever. All right. So, why contend among ourselves and oneself, among others and oneself, right? And boast about one's wisdom and talents. When the wind and fire disperses, the old and young exist no more. The great earth wears heroes to pieces, or wears them down. The white hair will soon invade the black. On the river of love or desire, how many appear and disappear? In a burning house, one suffers birth and death. Okay, so... we're all, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like this, the zero-sum game in this world where people are trying to get things, from others, and ultimately it's zero-sum, all right? You don't really gain anything in the end. I mean, the sum total is the same because you're still within this cycle that, what you get now, you're gonna have to pay back later on. Okay, so there's nothing to really be gained. It's only when we transcend this cycle that is what you can say that's the ultimate. Okay, so there's no need to really contend with others about trying to get stuff or even to boast or to compare ourselves right with others. Because in the end, we all die. Okay, the wind and fire, those are two of the elements that we're composed of. So wind is our breath, fire is the heat in the body, right? The life, you can say. So old and young, people can die of all ages. Also, the earth, people, we try to, I mean, humans are smart, right? We can create lots of stuff. We can conquer a lot of things. But ultimately, we're going to lose out to nature. Okay, so, when the earthquake comes, there's not much you can do. And so or a lot of things. So, we are not as great. I mean, we are great, but we are not as great as we think we are. That we get old, right? The white hair. The desires, they come and go. We pursue things. Ultimately, in this burning house, which is another metaphor for this world that we're living in, these three realms, right? Where things are, we ultimately end up suffering, through the cycle of birth and death. It's like, we live in this world and we don't realize, it's like these ants, the ants in this little, let's say this aquarium, okay? And that's the world that they know. That's all they know. They don't know the outside. They don't know that, how things exist elsewhere. Or they think this is the only thing in the world. It's just like most humans are like that. It's like, oh, this is it. There's nothing better. But actually there is. So that's why, the Buddha, all these enlightened beings, they left their teachings because they were awakened. They realized that there's a truer reality. And that we can, so they left teachings to guide us, to let us know that there is something more than what we can see here. And that we have to have that faith, right? And we have to practice it to get there. Okay. Just now, you're advised to quickly step out of the net of karma. Yet you say your life is busy and you don't have time. But when impermanence or death arrives, you must leave this world for Yama or the underworld. No matter how much fortune, no matter how many beautiful wives or concubines you possess, or boyfriends or whatever, you can't avoid being bullied by the ghosts and yaksas. Those are demons, okay, in the underworld. Nor can you escape the merciless, gloomy underworld and the six paths of samsara, right? So, again, we are all kind of caught up in this karma. It's a tangled web that we have of karma that we have from our past lives, and so basically anyone that is in our lives in some way, it's most likely it's due to karma in some way from past lives. Okay, there was some previous connections, and so how we deal with everyone and every situation, we have to use our wisdom to not further or continue perpetuate that karma or even make it worse, right? So we have to learn. We learn the ways that to deal with things, be in harmony. Always let the not try to take advantage, not try to stand on this is right and wrong, these things, to let us deal with these in a more perfect or harmonious way, so that we don't create more karma and that we can let this karma resolve itself, right? Okay, yeah, but most people, they say, oh, they're busy, right? They're busy pursuing, they're making money, they're doing whatever. They don't have time. Well, in the end, you're going to pay for it. Okay, so, okay, so yeah, no matter what we have at the end, it's useless, right? And then we're going to be back to square one and start over in the next life, and it could be worse, even worse off in the future. Okay, don't think that it's always upward climb, that we can also slip down if we're not careful. Okay. Life or human existence is impermanent. The impermanent world is just an illusory flower and a false scene. We must be able to disillusion or see through the impermanence and see through this dream. Okay, so disciples, if you are trapped within this illusory flower and false scene and do not awaken from the Handan dream, you will be dragged along by predestiny for your whole life, and your mind will not be able to return to situations around you. Hence, the value of life is to seek a permanent home to return to. Okay, so that Handan dream is the story of, it's actually this Taoist master, actually it was Li Dongbing, immortal Li. I guess he went to this, he met this, I don't know, this guy at a, I don't know, it's like a restaurant or whatever. And the guy, and he made this guy have a dream. It's basically, this is also known as the yellow millet dream. And because the guy, he's there, he's waiting for his food, the yellow millet, to cook. And then Master Li, makes him go to sleep and have this dream. And in this dream, he lives a life. He lives pretty much a whole life where he becomes, a government official. He has all this stuff. But in the end, he dies. He wakes up and, it was only a dream. Okay, so that is, maybe we don't think of our lives as a dream, but that from the Buddha's point of view, it's the same thing. They see us as living inside a dream world. And because they see, the whole picture. Okay, so we only see a little part, and we're only seeing what's inside the dream. And so we need to wake up from that and realize that there's more to it. Okay, so just like I was saying earlier, those ants, they're in their little world, that's all they know. They need to find out what's beyond that world. Same thing as in the Matrix, right? The Matrix, they're living in that reality, which is only a simulation. Okay, it's not the true reality. Okay, so we want to, the true value of life is really to seek that permanent home where we actually belong, not in this world. Okay, so a life of truth, goodness, and beauty is one where you must be able to apply your marvelous wisdom or prajna to explore fully the impermanence of life, and not only to chase after the beautiful scenes before your eyes. All the beautiful scenes will fade away with the merciless time and tide. Take a look at those ancient heroes. How many of them can conquer the merciless time and tide? How many of them can conquer heaven and earth? Therefore, when this short-lived life cannot be lingered on, we can only borrow its transiency or shortness to create the permanent. Hence, a clever person will definitely make use of the shortness of time to set up an eternal and divine undertaking. So we borrow. So we realize that, this life is temporary and it's not the eternal life. But we basically try to make the best use of it to achieve that eternal life. Okay, so to transcend. And so that means that, basically we learn the principles, learn the teachings from the Buddhas and saints, and to cultivate, to practice, okay, to basically change our old ways, our old habits, and basically perform merits and establish our virtues, build up our virtues, okay. So the great matter of human existence, that we must realize the value and the meaning of life. Buddha, that's what he did, right? So he he kind of gave up his royalty, gave up that life to seek what's the true meaning of life, right? Most people might think, oh, that's kind of crazy, but ultimately he's the one. He has the last laugh, so to speak. He's looking down on everyone else. Like, what fools people are. Okay, so, but, that's something that's really what's most important. Okay, so it's not pursuing these material things. So you look at who is it, Prince William and Marco, right? so they're no longer going to be royalty, pretty much. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, so they're going to kind of. I mean, they
no longer represent the queen.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't.
It's possible.
I don't know if he's considered prince. I mean, they don't have the title of what is a duke and duchess of whatever. No, just them two. Those two.
Yeah, just those two.
They decided that they don't want to. They want to try to be independent.
So he's like distant.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, they're not going to be involved in any.
They're not really involved too much in royal stuff. Yeah.
Like that.
The other
Duty.
trans-
Yeah.
They have some royal duties.
Right,
They'll
right.
serve as
They always
people,
do.
ambassadors,
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, they kind of represent the queen or the
Right.
crown.
Right.
Whatever. They don't want to do that. They don't want to be. In other words, they don't want to be like royalty. It'd be like
That would be more
royal
normal.
status.
Yeah.
They like want to be common people.
Yeah, they want to
I
be
mean, which is
financially
nice, which is
independent
nice.
too.
Which
Yeah.
is nice. I mean, they at least see beyond this status.
Right.
Because right now we're so, fixated on status. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Who doesn't want to be a prince
Right.
or princess? I mean, come on. Who doesn't?
It's too much commotion.
Well, nowadays, it's more
doesn't?
like a fairy tale.
Well, but at least, but it's still a status.
Yeah.
You
A
don't
title.
see
A
the
title. What's the other?
So she has a lot.
Oh, the other one. Yeah, the other one. There. I don't.
The choice
He hasn't-
between
he
their
hasn't
world
made
and
a
her
choice.
world.
No, they're
She has not
still.
only
She rather be
access
in her own world.
and she has her business as well as far as dealing with skin. So, and that was a conflict with the crown overall, because we're dealing with her life and was she allowed to actually own her own business and skin product line as far as being a part of the monarch.
Yeah.
She's a
So.
businesswoman.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
she's a business.
She's
so
like
she
an
pulled them-
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She pulled them out of that.
Right. Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. All right. So, anyways, yeah. Okay. So that's not exactly like Siddhartha leaving his thing, but
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what? What is the happiest thing in life? Okay, is it to fulfill our duties? It is to fulfill our duties and finish our responsibilities. What then is the saddest thing in life? It is to leave our duties unfulfilled. All right. So disciples, you should consider how to create your own life and open up your ideals so that you can contribute limitlessly to sentient beings. So we all have duties and responsibilities in life. Maybe we don't realize what those are, but one thing is to make sure that we can transcend this cycle of life and death. The other is to help our parents and family members to also do the same, and then. Also, then beyond that is help other sentient beings as well. So this is kind of a fundamental duty that we have now that we are quote unquote awakened. Okay, I mean if we're not awakened, then we don't know. Then we have your mundane duties. But besides those mundane duties, we have this kind of a higher calling, if you will, higher set of duties, right? Having found oneself means having oneself explored. We often say, what should I do? That means you have forgotten who you are. If a person can really explore oneself, he would realize which path he should walk or take and what things he should do. Then he should do those things and walk those paths. He must realize his talents and innate abilities fully. If he wants to utilize his talents and innate abilities fully, he must first recognize his own specialties clearly. So, we have to know what we're supposed to do. Okay, if we're just sitting there waiting for people to tell us what to do, then we're not going to succeed. We're not going to be successful then because we're relying on other people to tell us, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we have to be kind of self-motivated, if you will. We have to initiate our actions. We have to, take that appropriate path. We have to also examine ourselves, realize what are we able to do. Okay, what can we do? And we all have talents of various different kinds. Okay, so we're all different, but whatever abilities that we have, that's we should make the best use of that. Apply that. Okay, in our duties and responsibilities, and in trying to make things better. Right. Okay, what are called real ideals and ambitions? That one must cradle a heart to help the world and to set up a divine undertaking of 10,800 years. Only these are the real ideals. Yeah. Okay, so help the world. Yeah, well, we're in this white period, right? 10,800 years. We won't worry about, we're not going to be here for 10,800 years. Okay, so we're only here for, let's say 100 years. And so we should do our part, right? Because there are those who come after us who will do their part. Everyone does their part, okay? And so, but that's the ultimate goal, is to achieve some kind of, well, what Maitreya Buddha's vow, right? To create a paradise on earth, and that's the same goal as what Confucius has, right? Ideal, creating this world of harmony and unity, and that is really what the purpose of Tao is, actually. Now, I mean, one side is to allow us to transcend, but that's beyond, that's after this life. But while we're still living, is to try to transform this world into this paradise. Okay. Life can be long or short. As long as there is birth, there is death. Right? Don't take life and death too seriously. He has his fate. You have your destiny. In order to put an end to the ingguo, or the causes and consequences to one's karmic debts, one must make contributions or perform meritorious deeds and build one's virtues. Live naturally and easily. Life is bitter, but it is sweet too. So, as long as we're born, then we're going to die. Okay, so it says don't take it too seriously. Yeah, and that, we like to cling to this life. But if it's not a meaningful life, it's not a valuable life, then it's, what are we clinging to? So, and then everyone has their own fate and destiny. Everyone's karma is different. So again, we shouldn't compare, right? But we have to realize that, everything is all based on this causality, karma, and so we have debts that we have to pay off. So there's a saying, right? Either we're born to pay off debts or we're born to collect debts. Okay, so, but actually it's not that simple. It's complicated. I mean, it's both, actually. I mean, we're both here collecting debts and paying off debts. Okay, so we should, we have to perform merits. Okay, meritorious deeds to true merits to kind of offset some of those debts, and also build up our virtues in the same way. Is also helping us to also prevent creating future debts, right? Okay, so life is not the cutting off and the ending up of something. It is actually the flowing and turning of a series of interrelated causes within consequences, and consequences within causes. All right, the past has already passed, yet the future can be pursued. Truth cultivation, or Xiu-Dao, or Dao cultivation, can make people detach from the past and create the future. Xiu-Dao can make people change their views of life and stop blaming heaven and resenting people. Then one will seek only to overcome the ego or the self one day and realize that all things are essentially empty, right? So this cultivation, so life, although there's this beginning and end, this is only a temporary thing. So viewed from Tao or the eternal life, there's a continuous cycle, okay? So we have to realize that, causes and consequences, they kind of, it's hard to tell sometimes one from the other, okay? And one consequence can be the cause for something else. So it's like a chain reaction, or that Indra's net thing. So it's all interconnected, interlinked. So that's why we have to be careful, not creating planting these causes, okay? Not generating these causes. Now, what's past is past, of course. So, but we can only change the future, right? And so, we should focus on that, not focus on the past. People tend to focus on the past and stay living in the past, basically, and that's why they have these habits. They just stay that way. They're comfortable that way, even though it's not the ideal situation. It's better. It's easier for them to stay that way than to change. Okay, so change is something that humans have difficulty making change, especially within themselves. But that's something that we do. We definitely have to do. Okay, so we have to let go of the past in order to create that future. And then stop. We can, once we understand these principles of causality, then we can stop blaming others. Okay, stop blaming, people. Stop blaming heaven for whatever, for the things that are, why you say, oh, why me? Why is this happening to me? Basically, we ultimately that's self-caused. Okay, so if we understand causality, then we know where that comes from. Okay. And also we know that then we can also take our own destiny in our own hands, okay, and we can change our destiny. So we have to overcome that ego, that false self identity, because that is the one that's kind of clinging to the past, clinging to all these things that we need to let go of, right? Because ultimately all these things are really empty. Okay, everything is really, even though things we say, oh, this reality is like this, but it really depends. The reality is really subjective. It's to each person how we view it, how we perceive this reality. Okay, so if we're in a bad situation, but we can still be content, we can be happy. Or most people they would not be, they might be angry or they might be, sad. But so it depends on the person, and so we have that choice, right? The situation doesn't dictate how we should view the reality. Yeah.
Actually, I learned that a lot of time it is that how we perceive, it is how we are brought up, what we know. So that's why the scriptures are helping us to know the proper way. So a lot of time, actually, people are suffering. People are don't know how to help themselves, or having all these negative thoughts. It is because people are stuck. People don't know how to save themselves up. So when they see that light, things will get clear, and then people would know, oh, actually, that resentment is not outward, it's actually inside. To ourselves, actually, that is because we are stuck, we are frustrated. We don't know how to help ourselves. So that resentment actually is inside, but people can feel it around us because we have it inside.
Yeah, it's important that we have to have a will. We don't have that will to change, to want to confront this stuff that's inside. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. We have to have that will, that determination, that resolve to do it. That's really that has to come from within. I mean, people can try to help us, encourage us, but ultimately we have to do that. Comes from inside. Okay, and if we don't have that, then we cannot change. I mean, it'll we'll not be able to achieve what we want.
A person really have to want something.
Yeah.
Because you know, the old saying, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't let it drink.
Right.
You can give them everything. But if that person individually do not want to make a change, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
So you're saying desire has to exist?
See, it's not desire in the sense of I want to acquire something. Actually, it's actually because we're not at that level. We're no, because we're all speaking from the view of the human realm, or human, which is dualistic, which is duality. Actually, that will, you can say that desire or that will is really the higher level of awakening to your body mind, which is a spontaneous mind, a spontaneous desire, or I would say desire, a spontaneous will to want to do something, to do something, to achieve something. So, for example, enlightened beings, Buddhas, sages, etc. When you ask them, say, they have a strong will to want to do something, to help people, to do whatever, right? We say, you have that strong desire. From our perspective, we say, you have a. Actually, from their perspective, they will say, it's natural. That's the way it is. Let me ask you. The 4 seasons, right? Right now it's winter. Does Mother Nature, Earth says, well, you know what? I have a desire to want to make sure that I have winter, to snow a lot of people on you guys to do it. No, it's just natural. And then hold on. And then Mother Nature is not going to say, you know what? I want to make the winter longer. I don't want spring to come. No, spring eventually will come, regardless. And then after that, summer. After that, autumn, etc., right? So it's natural. It's a natural cycle. The sun doesn't say, one day, you know what? I don't want to shine on Earth, I don't like Earth, I don't want to desire to. It's spontaneous, get it? So our body mind, so we have to understand what is our body mind. That is the mind of our Buddha nature, okay? Not the conscious mind. See, so when we deal with conscious mind, we talk in terms of desires, motivation, etc., will, etc. Actually, if we are awakened, that means we realize we have a Buddha nature, a non-human conscious mind that's actually eternal, permanent, changeless, nameless, changeless, all that, unperturbed. Everything is spontaneous. It's natural. That's the way it should be. So therefore, I should know what my duties are, or I should be helping others. Why? Because they are also the same. Not because of their appearance, their names, their ethnicity, their religious background, etc. No, not because of that. Those are all labels. Those are all temporary labels. Your name is called James. 200 years ago, are you called James? No. 200 years in the future, are you going to be called James? Of course not. So those are all temporary labels. And those, so they're not real. So they're not real. What's real? Eternal. Our Buddha nature. So from a Buddha's perspective, or enlightened being, sages, etc., to them, they look at that. All they see is that. And therefore, they act accordingly with that. Get it? So they don't say, I have a desire to save you because you know what? You look nice, you're good, you're bad. No. None of that. Get it? See? So therefore, we have to be sure when we say desire, we're only speaking from a human level perspective because we're not at that level yet. We're not saying that, everybody's just saying. There's no question of desire, lack of desire, will, determination. No, it's just, that's the way it is. You ask Mother Nature, why do you have winter now? Why can't we have summer?
That's right.
What? That doesn't make sense.
That's actually positioning. I mean, if you go to the equator, close to the equator, then you have summer.
But they still have some
I went to the
seasons.
shovel last night.
But the whole point is that those things are all spontaneous. That's the way it is. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not, you can't say, I want to make North Pole summer all year long. It's impossible, right? Right?
We don't have that ability to do that.
Well, if you're a Buddha, you can.
No,
All right. Okay. All right. Within the universe, heaven is great, yet the self nature or this true nature, this inner being, is even greater. So do utilize fully your inner being, Zi-Xing, okay, to accomplish the three immortals, which is to build virtues, build words, and build merits. Well, I don't know. That's the Chinese thing. Li-Da, Li-Yan, Li-Gong. Okay, to assist heaven and earth in their task of transforming and nurturing the living beings. So this, basically, Li-Da, to establish our virtues, correct, become that perfect person. Li-Yan is to speak, to teach, right? To take the teachings, the proper teachings from the Buddhas and saints, and to pass that on, teach others, and then build our merits, okay, as well. So that's, as a human being, because we have that essence, that true nature, that Buddha nature, that we can do these things, okay? So even though the universe is so vast, but as humans, we can do these things that others, even animals, cannot do, okay? So, all right, so how can the nobility of man, 人觉, be more honorable than the nobility of heaven? How can Gong Ming be higher than Dao Ming? Okay, so basically, the nobility, what people basically look at, in terms of, what can I achieve? What kind of status I can get in this world? That's what this nobility of man is talking about. And then the nobility of heaven is what heaven has conferred upon us. Okay, so that obviously, what heaven conferred upon us is much greater than what we can achieve ourselves in this world. Okay, in terms of our status or what level we can get to. So even people who practice certain kung fu and they have certain abilities, that's limited. Okay, that's not heaven can give us can achieve even more. Basically, like a Buddha. So. Then the Gongming, right? This is a fame or recognition gained by accomplishing meritorious deeds versus Daoming, which is the fame or recognition followed naturally with the cultivation of truth and virtue, or the Tao, and unconditional contribution to all living beings. So ultimately, Gongming. Okay, so let's say the Buddha or the saints and Buddhas, right? They actually have both. We get the fame or the recognition that people have, that's throughout history of this person. But the Daoming is the true recognition given from heaven. Okay, and so basically, they become a Buddha, and they've basically transcended all this. So that is even more. So we tend to focus only on in this worldly in human world about what we can get, but it's beyond that. Okay, being the pioneer of the era of universal transmission, Pudu. Okay, so this we typically say this is universal salvation. Okay, but although you are giving up some material comfort and worldly pleasures. The value of your life and body will be doubled through the encounter of this Pudu event, okay, this universal transformation event. The value of your life and body will be, so because it's not, even though, again, you might say it's a sacrifice, okay, I don't pursue all these material things, this comfort, enjoyment, and pleasures in life, but I am doing things to help all sentient beings to be a benefit to others. Ultimately, again, it's related to that previous one, that we get what heaven can confer upon us. Ultimately, when we've accomplished what we've done in this world, that is much greater than what we can get in this world. Okay. So from the ancient to modern times, tens of thousands of affairs have been changing and disappearing like burning candles. The fleeting existence turns out to be a journey in the dream. Those who realize this deeply are like spring water in the mountain and the moon in the sky, how leisurely it shines. Everything is it's constantly changing, and it's all, it's gone, in a short instant, right? It's very fleeting, just like a dream. So those who realize that, then they don't pursue these things, and they don't contend, they don't fight over these things, right?
Just means impermanent.
Yeah, I mean, this, yeah.
All everything in life and phenomena, it's impermanent.
Yeah.
So we have to, go beyond that, understand that.
Yeah.
So if you realize it, then
then you're free. You're free,
right,
and you're no longer attached to these. You become enlightened, and that. Then you can really achieve greatness once you do that, because then you're not limited to these things. Okay. It is hard to acquire a human body, okay? Although we say that animals bear the same spiritual nature as human beings, yet animals must first be transmigrated or reincarnated to become a human being. Only then can they seek the Tao, or the truth. Okay, once a person is disqualified to be a human being, it is hard for him to regain a human body, even in 10,000 kalpas, okay? Hence, life is precious and one should treasure it, okay? So, yeah, this, Buddhas in the various scriptures, they all say the same thing, right? The various different metaphors, say, to have this human life is so precious. I mean, it's like a blind turtle in the ocean, right? It surfaces and happens to stick its head up through this hole in the log. That's what's the probability of that happening. So what's saying here is that, we have to cherish this human life that we have now. I mean, if we don't live according to this humanity, whatever, then if we lose this human life next time around, it'll be very difficult to climb back up, basically.
Well, it'll take a very
It takes a long time, yeah.
Before you have a second chance.
Right,
or another
right,
opportunity.
right. So that's why I think people, maybe they don't realize that. They don't
Because they feel this life is it. That's
Yeah,
it. See,
right.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the big obstacle.
Yeah.
To
Right.
yeah.
So, okay. Well, this one is a long thing here. Well, the time is up. So, basically, and then let me skip to this last paragraph here. Okay, so spread the Tao, the truth, and cultivate the Tao with your heart and soul. Okay, your mind. Okay, fear not the difficulties and hardships. Play the role of your life well. Okay, so whatever, we have different responsibilities in our lives. We do those well, perform those well. Struggle through life and death with your best effort. Grip your teeth and jaws and step through it. How many winters and summers in life can we be busy spreading the Tao? Okay, in other words, we have to do what we can while we can. Okay, don't wait until something happens and then we can't do it anymore. Okay, although there would be temporal loneliness and solitude, those who can bear and endure will never fall into the unending sorrow of 10,000 ages. Right? So we have to have that faith that, we're giving up some stuff, sacrificing some worldly pleasures, whatever, but ultimately we'll transcend, thousands of cycles of the suffering. Okay, disciples do bear the temporal loneliness now and win the joy and freedom of the 10,000 years to come. Okay, so now of course Holy Teacher is only guaranteeing us for this next 10,800 years that we don't have to necessarily fall into this cycle of reincarnation, but it's up to us to we don't want to say, oh, okay, I'm good, so I don't have to do anything. We're going to pay for that, later on. Okay.
In the next
in the next cycle, the next big cycle. So we need to do our best to hopefully, if we can be saints and Buddhas, then hey, that's even we'd be really better off. So, okay, so I guess no more. This time is up. So, all right. If I had said anything wrong, or if I said things not incompletely, I ask the Buddhas and saints for forgiveness, and also the corrections from everyone.